Hey everybody, there's lots of different types of income out there, but when it comes to retirement, the most important income that you have is your guaranteed income. That typically is your Social Security. For some people, it is your company pensions, military pensions. And then for other people, they use those income annuities. And there's that dirty word. So we're going to talk about these income annuities. And there's a reason I'm talking about them right now. It's because these interest rates are much better out there. And these things are actually worth looking at. If you use them properly, they can be an extremely valuable part of your portfolio. So let's take a look at these. Let's get the stigmas out of the way. Yes, there are more people out there. Well, there at least used to be more people selling them versus advising them. And I hope you can tell the difference. People that advise these, it comes as part of a plan, right? This is something where somebody is allocating a portion of the portfolio and figuring out an income plan for you in the future where more guaranteed income is needed. That is how they are advised versus just sold at a dinner seminar or whatever other sales spiels you're exposed to. The reason they've been sold so much in the past is, yes, they pay commissions. Okay, well, I got news for you. There are commissions all over this advisory world. A lot of mutual funds are pulling commissions out of your money and paying them to the advisors. There are things called 12B1 fees where the mutual fund company charges you the fee and then kicks back to the advisor on top of those commissions. Buying and selling individual bonds comes with lots of commissions, and those come from your dollars. Whereas the insurance world, whether it's home and auto insurance, annuities, life insurance, all the insurances pay commissions, but they come from the insurance company's dollars. And there's no other way to get a product like a life insurance policy or an annuity without someone licensed to write up that contract. So there's no way to avoid that. You can go there directly, but they're just going to send you to somebody licensed in your state. So the commissions are unavoidable. That doesn't make them bad. We all still buy cars. We all still buy CDs. There's commissions everywhere out there. But the difference is advising them or selling them. The salesman doesn't care who's getting it. They just want to get it sold and get the commission. The advisor is going to thoughtfully put this into a plan. So what's changed over the couple of years is we've got higher interest rates. People finally realized bonds are not the right place to be. Advisors opened their eyes, started utilizing these a lot more. We've seen it in the amount of annuities created in the last couple of years, breaking records after records. We're talking $300+ billion going into annuities. It's amazing the amount, and that's all individual people's money. So more advisors say stay away from them than recommend them. And that's simply because of the bias in the industry. I want assets under management. I want to charge my management fees. That's how I make my living. If I take money and put it into annuity, it's not assets under management anymore, and we're not charging the management fee anymore. So that's why a lot of people are taught to hate annuities and tell you why they hate annuities, because it's not part of their business structure. Is my money safe? The other stigma. Well, the reality is yes, do your own research. Cash value investments from insurance companies like life insurance, even long-term care insurance, annuities. Look through history on these things. There has been almost no cases of anyone losing a penny of their cash value. That's so important to understand. Okay, things can change. I get it, but these are very regulated companies. They get audited all the time. They have to pay a penny into each state's insurance jar, every policy that's sold, whether it's home and auto or annuities. Okay, the states then guarantee it and mirror pretty close to FDIC, each state individually. So is your money safe? Well, it's as safe gets. You know, stay with the A-rated carriers, anybody in the A range, and you shouldn't have any problems. Sometimes they sound too good to be true. Well, that's because you went to a dinner seminar and they were missold. That's usually the big reason. So I'm going to show you one of those that looks way too good to be true. Then I'm going to explain the magic behind the scenes so you see really what's going on and realize, hey, it really isn't that too good to be true, but it is still very beneficial. All right. So then why do we do these? Reasons why. Well, here's the thing. I'm always an advocate of balance between savings and income. Okay, this is the key to enjoying a comfortable retirement. I've seen people with huge amounts of savings but very little income live crazy uncomfortable and be afraid to invest their money properly. Okay, I've seen the other direction where I've seen people with great income and very little savings, and they're always worried about the next emergency, and they can't buy bigger things like a second home, or they struggle when they got to buy a car. Either they finance it and they start hurting their budget, or they have to save diligently to buy it. So balance becomes very important in retirement. The other one is a baseline of income that pays your basic retirement. Guaranteed income should keep the lights on, keep you fed, keep all the necessities taken care of. If you don't have enough income to pay your base living expenses, boy, does it get scary. You feel very uncomfortable in retirement and you are unable to enjoy things. You live very frugally. Reduce dependence on savings, right? If you're pulling from the savings all the time, regularly, you gotta pull to enjoy your retirement, then it hampers the way you're going to invest it. Because turbulence then becomes your enemy. So then you have to be safer and safer and safer the more you're pulling from your portfolio. So the more guaranteed income you have, the less you rely on those withdrawals to fund that retirement, the better you can invest your money. Okay, so then reduces the dependence on investment performance, right? I'm really, have this huge withdrawal rate. I have to perform well. The portfolio, you're always worried about those little downturns and everything that happens. If you've got better income, you worry less about the performance of that portfolio. You're not relying on it to fund your retirement. Locking in these higher interest rates for life. Look, you can go buy a CD and lock it in for a year. You can go buy a fixed annuity, a MYGA, and lock it in for 5, 7, or even 10 years. You can lock in those great interest rates. Heck, you could go buy a 30-year treasury and lock in, I think it's only like 4.5, but you can lock that in, but it's not for life. What happens after 10 years? What happens after 5 years? What if interest rates are zero? And the cool thing you're going to see on this, especially for people that don't have heirs that they really care about leaving as much money as possible to, you're going to be able to lock in a much higher payout rate. And that is guaranteed for the rest of your life because you can't outlive this income, right? You can keep pulling from your savings and at some point it's gone. But income keeps showing up every single month. Look in that bank account, that paycheck survives. So, what are the drawbacks? Okay, we talked about the stigma that, I get it. I know where the stigma comes from. A lot of it is just misunderstandings. But then let's look at the actual drawbacks to doing this. Look, if you have heirs and you want to give them as much money as possible, buying a pension, because that's what this really is, taking a lump sum of money and turning it into a guaranteed income is a very inefficient way to pass money to heirs. I typically tell people any money we allocate to this type of investment, in our minds, that cash value is gone. If you die prematurely, your heirs get whatever's left over, and that's fine. But it's not money that's growing and growing and growing. And if you don't need it, it all goes to your heirs. This is going to be paying out. It is going to dwindle this pool of money down to zero. But then it keeps paying, and that's when you know you won. So if you have heirs and you really care about what they're getting, yeah, maybe these aren't really the best thing unless you're just lifting your base level of income so you can survive in retirement. Then I would still say the heirs be damned. You're going to take this money out one way or the other, right? So then there's what if you don't need to trigger income? Well, this happens quite often. I don't want to call this a dead asset. Your deposit of dollars into this contract, and we'll explain how it all works coming up here, but it's not really going to grow that much. It's safe, but it won't grow that much. And so I don't want to call it a dead asset. The money's safe. It'll grow a little bit. But the reality is this is focused on giving guaranteed income. So if you don't use that, the rest of it is, well, I got my money back. That's about it. What if I die prematurely? Well, again, whatever's left over goes to your heirs. That's fine, but the money wasn't really growing that much. You could have invested it much better for money to go to your heirs. This is inefficient in giving it to the heirs. Call it return of premium, and that's about it. What if we don't, or what if we see prolonged inflation? So here's the big problem with income, right? If you put money in here, you trigger the income, you now have, let's just say 2,000 a month coming in, but inflation keeps getting bigger and bigger, and your costs get more and more and more and more, and this income stays the same. That's a problem, right? So the nice thing about Social Security, well, for a lot of years, we would get a raise, but then Medicare would raise their cost and we wouldn't get a raise. But when we saw that bigger inflation, we did get a somewhat substantial raise that we actually saw. It doesn't fix inflation, but it does help us a little bit as opposed to the flat payment. So we have to recognize that a flat payment is a flat payment. Okay, so we have to have other resources that are going to grow and help us keep up with inflation as well. All right, so let's go through how this works. I'm going to use a real product that's out there right now so we can really see what's on the market. But the reality is I want you to see how people can misunderstand these and misconstrue these. And then I want you to see the truth behind the scenes. Okay, so big bonuses. I've seen 30-40% bonuses out there. Anybody says you deposit money, you get a 25% bonus, some alarms should go off in your head, something's wrong, right? And if I'm the salesman selling it to everybody, I'm 25%, you're going to grow 25% immediately. That's like, 15 years in CDs. We're doing it all overnight. So $200,000 deposit earns $50,000 immediately. That's an incredible bonus. That's an incredible investment. That's fantastic. And then they make it even better. They guarantee growth. And in this case, it's 8% guaranteed growth. I've seen 14, I've seen 10, I've seen all different types of guaranteed growth out there. So we're getting a huge bonus and we're getting guaranteed growth that isn't out there. There's no investment out there guaranteeing 8% growth. Okay. So we have two things that just can't be possible. So they're too good to be true. And we move on with our life, right? Well, not necessarily. Okay. So the cool thing about these is think about creating your own pension, because that's what you're doing here. In my example, I have a 55-year-old that's going to retire and wants to collect the pension at 62. Okay. These are very typical scenarios. 55-year-olds start thinking about retirement. They start talking to good financial planners and they start coming up with a plan. How are they going to fund retirement? How are we going to do this? So maybe this is what gets brought up. They need to raise their base level of income so they can pay their base living expenses. So in this case, they allocate $200,000. They get the $50,000 bonus. There they are depositing that money at 55. And then there's 8% growth every single year until they hit 62. Then they figure out, okay, well, open the contract. How do I earn my income? How do they calculate my income? And that's where you have to find the guaranteed payout rates. These are written in the contract. And this is the cool part about this. With these much higher interest rates, we have much higher payout rates, and they're locked in. They're written in the contract. Those don't change. And that's what's cool. I looked at a contract from a couple of years ago before the interest rates rose. At 50, you'd be lucky to get 4%, all the way to 60. You hit 60 and then you start going over 4%. You might get 4.1, 4.2, 65, you might get 4.5. That's how low those contracts were back in the lower interest rates. Now we got much higher interest rates. So you can lock these payout rates in for the rest of your life. This is what's so cool. Think about this. You have money that you deposited that earned a 25% bonus that grew it at 8% every single year. And then you have payout rates that look like this. This is craziness. So then they calculate it, say, okay, 62, I want my income. Well, if they change their mind, maybe at 56 years old, they wanted the income, or 57, 58. Notice it incrementally gets bigger. So 55, it started at 6%, then it went 51 is, 55, 6%. They only start these at 50. You got to be over 50 to get these usually. But then 6.1, 6.2, all the way to at 62, the payout rate was 6.7%, right? 60 starts at 6.5, then 0.1 for each year. 6.7% of $428,000 is $23.92 a month. $23.92 a month as a pension that we get paid in retirement, guaranteed for the rest of our lives. Okay, that's proactive planning. A good financial planner is going to find the best path for you to get to retirement. Okay, that's the important part. And considering the bang for the buck here, this is pretty fantastic. You're locking in a 6.7% payout rate, guaranteed payment to you for the rest of your life. And it's on a blown up fictitious dollar, right? It grew your 200,000. Look, a 6.7 payout on 200,000 deposit would be great. The best fixed rate out there right now is 6.1%. That's the best fixed rate out there, and that's only guaranteed for 7 years. This is guaranteed payout for the rest of your life on a bloated fictitious number. That real number of $23.92 a month is coming to your bank account every single month. This is valuable, and this is worth looking at. This is better than you're going to get in any bond portfolio, better than you're going to get in any MYGA out there. Any safe investing portfolio is never going to guarantee this, at least not in today's world. Okay? But the other part of this is we don't have to worry about what happens when that safe investment, that fixed interest rate expires, because this payout is for the rest of our life. Okay, now this looks too good to be true, right? So let's look at it from the insurance company's point of view. Okay, this is behind the scenes. Why would an insurance company do this? Well, I'll be honest. There's some very obvious reasons, and this will demystify it and make it real for you. So here's the thing, investment or insurance companies have billions of dollars, and I'm not joking. Look at some of these insurance companies. 40 billion is a small insurance company. They get to invest ways we don't get to. Banks lend money out in credit cards and auto loans. We don't really get to do that. That's not a way we get to typically go invest. Well, insurance companies are doing corporate lending. They're buying big blocks of bonds that we don't get access to, is essentially what they're doing. So when we can go get 5%, they're getting 7%. And I'm being conservative. A lot of their portfolios can churn, good 8% out of the blocks of bonds that they can buy out there. Okay? Because look, the company that wants to borrow the money wants it all at once. They don't want to wait till everybody buys up little chunks. So they pay a premium to these insurance companies. So the insurance company gets the $200,000 at 55. Okay? And at 55, it grows at 7% every year. And at 62, really the insurance company probably has a good $343,000 of real dollars that they have attributed to your account, theoretically. Okay? So then you call them and say, hey, give me my payment for the rest of my life. Well, that payment was $28,000 a year. It's the number from the previous slide. Well, their account still grows. They still have all their investments. So $343,000 growing at 7%, taking out $28,000 every year. The money doesn't run out until you're 88 years old. Now, how does that investment look? Right? I want you to have that perspective, because it's so important we understand. Look, they get to invest in ways that we don't have access to. They have power with billions of dollars. They trade in big blocks. They're allowed to do things we can't do. They can invest in ways we can't. So they have better growth and more reliable growth in their portfolio. But I got news for you. This is only one of the tiny, tiny, tiny little reasons that the insurance company would do this. Here's some more. Look, statistically, if the money doesn't run out till 88, remember, they're just paying back your own money, right? The whole first chunk of this, they're paying back your own money one payment at a time. Statistically, they're still going to profit from this because the average person in the United States doesn't live much past the mid-80s, right? So we need to understand that part of it. But the big thing is, the last study I saw, 80% of these never get triggered. Nobody uses them properly. I'm doing the absolute best case scenario. Somebody using this absolutely to the best of their ability. You get it early, you let it grow, you trigger the income, you live as long as you can. That's how you profit from these things. But the reality is most people don't end up triggering these. They don't know what they were sold. They didn't get a plan in writing. You should always get a plan in writing that says, here's why we're investing this way. Okay? Your cash value does not grow much and typically has a fee. So yes, if you prematurely die before your principal was paid back to you, your heirs are going to get the money, but you put $200,000 in. And every payment came from that $200,000 first. Oh, and that fee is coming out of there as well. Typically a 1% fee is coming out of there. So very inefficient. The insurance company is not on the line, certainly in your 80s, to pay anybody back anything. But if you triggered the income at 62 and died at 63, yeah, whatever principal's left goes to your heirs. Okay, insurance companies have a lot of reasons to do these. And hopefully you see behind the scenes, these aren't necessarily too good to be true. But for us to keep the light bill paid, to keep all of our expenses paid on a regular basis, giving us the peace of mind that we're not going to outlive that part of our portfolio. Don't put all your money. Remember, balance. You need to have income that's going to pay a base retirement. And then you also need to have savings for you to go enjoy that retirement. So have balance. Utilizing these right now, if you're ever going to utilize them, this is when you lock in these types of contracts. You get these higher interest rates. You lock in these much higher payout rates. These are valuable right now. They weren't 2, 3, 4 years ago. And for the last 20 years, I've been an advocate of not using them. I don't like them. I didn't like them. But right now, these payouts are not something we can ignore. Okay, you can get these from A-rated companies. These companies are going to pay this income for the rest of your life, and your state has guarantees to take care of it if anything happens. But the reality is they go into receivership and another insurance company buys them. Okay, this is as safe gets. If I can help in any way, hopefully that demystifies these income annuities. They call them deferred income annuities. These things right now are valuable to look at. If you need a boost of income, there are ones out there that are great for triggering the income in the first couple of years. There are other ones that are much better 10 years from now. There's even a couple that are even further out than 10 years. So depending on your needs, you can find the right product, and that really becomes important. You've got to have a plan, and you've got to know how this applies to you and your retirement and getting you there. Let me know if I can help out in any way. Yourinvestmentcounselor.com, 30-minute free meet and greet. You can log right on there and schedule an appointment with me. I am a real person. I do live here in Arizona. I'm always happy to help out. I'm licensed nationwide. I can help out in pretty much every state. Full classes, fpfeaz.org. We have a nonprofit. We do a lot of financial education. We've got live classes via Zoom. You can jump in on those anytime, and then certainly give us a call if we can help out in any way. All right, everybody. See you next week. That was a little long-winded. Thanks again. Bye.